Chapter 17. At school, the little boy that had played cards with me would visit me sometimes at recess when I was sitting in the corner or walking the perimeter of the playground. He asked my advice about stuff, and I advised him as best a 9-year-old could. Then he wanted to know why the kids didn't like me. "I don't know," I replied. "I think it's because they don't know you." I didn't know what to say back to that. "Daddy says I should stay away from you. You're trouble, you know," he said as he looked for my reaction. "Do I look like trouble?" "Yeah," he said. He laughed, and I did too. A few days later, he brought a little girl over with him. She was a first grader too. She looked at me with big blue eyes and a pout face. "She hurt her arm. Can you kiss it and make it feel better?" the boy asked. I realized that somehow I'd taken on an adult role, and I wasn't sure how that had happened. "Let me see," I told her. She held her arm out to me, and I looked at the small scrape. It felt like I could heal her. "I need to hold your arm for a minute and sprinkle magic dust on it," I advised her. I tried to ignore her big blue eyes staring at me as I held on to the side of her arm away from the scrape and pretended to sprinkle magic dust on it with my other hand. I did that until she was restless. "It's better!" she exclaimed as she looked at her arm. I looked too, and the scrape seemed less red. She gave me an unexpected hug which startled me. "You're not bad," she added before she ran off. The boy smiled at me and ran off too. No, I supposed I wasn't always bad. "So what's been happening at school?" Daddy asked me as we sat down to dinner one night. We were sitting at the table, and I had been stirring around some purple hull peas that I hated. I couldn't believe people actually thought of them as food. They were a pain to take out of the shell after we'd grown them, and they were like the most yuckiest vegetable to eat. I looked up at him wondering what he meant. He wasn't just making conversation, he was probing me. "Reading, writing, and arithmetic, Dad, no biggie. They teach us the same thing in every grade as if we haven't learned it the year before," I replied back in a non-committed way. I was wondering if someone had told him about the scuffle I'd gotten into with an annoying boy in my class. He knew that I knew that's not what he wanted to know. "What about recess?" he probed. I shrugged my shoulders. I do my best to stay out of trouble. I don't play with the other kids because it never works. I walk around the edge of the playground and keep my distance, or I sit on the steps of the school and wait for recess to be over. Sometimes I thought of fire, but I wasn't going to mention that. "Miss Edgewater called me today and said you've been bothering the first graders." Now that really got my attention. "No, Dad, they bother me. They come over and want me to help them with their problems. You wouldn't believe some of the things they tell me." I had found out that the little boy that I had met was named Peter, and the little girl was Sally. "Like what?" I noticed that neither of us were eating now. I also wondered what Miss Edgewater had told him. How had I been bothering the first graders? I sighed. Whatever I said was probably going to be the wrong answer. Mostly they tell me about their parents or their brothers and sisters. Sally said that her mom slaps her if she takes too long to learn her spelling words, and sometimes she gets blamed for stuff her older sister does. Peter likes me to play matchbox cars with him. He has this weird habit of leaning against you and chewing on your arm as if he's a baby. I told him that he should try and stop that and try chewing bubble gum instead, I finally said. My dad had a really odd look on his face. He pushed his plate further into the middle of the table, which seems to mean he was done eating, although he hadn't eaten all his supper. I did the same because there was no way I was eating the rest of those purple hull peas. But you don't fight with them or do anything you shouldn't be doing with them. I scrunched my face up. I couldn't believe my dad didn't know better. Oh my God, Dad, they're just babies. They don't know any better. They need someone to take care of them. They just want to see if I can help them because no one else listens to them. I didn't tell him about Erica, who was a cuddler and sometimes tried to sit on my lap because her older siblings let her do that. I wasn't sure that it was appropriate, and I also didn't want the other kids to think I was anything but badass. What's the biggest thing they told you or asked you to help them with? had to think about that for a moment. Peter tore up his brother's homework one time and his brother socked him one. I told him not to do something so stupid like that anymore. Not that he'll listen. What would you do if they told you something really bad that you knew you should tell someone about? I'd tell them that we had to tell a teacher or someone, and I'd go with them when they told, I decided. That's good, Daddy told me. I'm proud that you're helping the first graders. I'm glad he changed the subject then. If he'd kept badgering me, I would have had to tell him that Peter had told me what he liked to do is touch his wiener. He had wanted to show it to me. I had really wanted to see it, but I had told him that it would just get us into trouble, and neither of us needed that. Why do you touch it? I asked him. As far as I'd heard from adults, is that touching privates was a bad thing. He had looked down at the crotch of his jeans. Because it feels good when I touch it. It gets bigger and hard. If I keep touching it really fast, it vibrates and it feels good for a minute. I want to do that all the time. That was news to me. I'd never noticed any boys doing that. Does it stay hard? I asked. I really wished that I could see what he was talking about. I'd never seen one before. No, after it vibrates, then it gets soft again. I blinked in confusion. It was soft? It was hard? It vibrated? Huh? I want to bring my wiener out now and do it. No, 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 I exclaimed softly. I know you'll get in trouble if you did that here. Do that at home, okay? Maybe like in your room or the bathroom? Yeah, my brother makes fun of me and my parents yell if I do that and they see it. Oh wow, the things I was learning from the first graders. I'd have to ask my dad or someone about that in the future. But not right now, because then he'd know the first grader had told me. Since you're through with supper, go practice your violin, Daddy remarked, breaking me out of my inappropriate thoughts. I didn't look forward to that, as Mr. Doug's beginner lessons had begun to wear on me. Regardless, I practiced an hour every night, and he had said that I was learning to play it much faster than anyone he'd ever seen.